Annyeonghaseyo. My name is Aderonke and I am a 2022 GKS scholar. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So I'm not going to be doing a lot of sit down and just like talking on this channel because it's so awkward and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. But I got a lot of questions about GKS and I just thought instead of answering everything like tell this person this thing and then tell the other person the same thing, it would just be better to just answer it all at once in one video. So this is that video. All you need to know about GKS. Graduate scholarships. Okay, so what is GKS? I am assuming you know nothing about GKS. So the Global Career Scholarship, GKS, is a scholarship that allows you to study in Korea for free. Like they pay for everything, your visa, your flight ticket, your tuition, they pay your monthly allowance, everything is covered. And you can get this scholarship, I think, for an associate degree, undergraduate, graduate degrees, and that's like up to research level, like after your PhD. So I'm going to be talking about GKS-G, that's the Global Career Scholarship for Graduate Studies, because I'm here studying for a master's. I will touch on undergraduate applications a bit, but I don't know a lot because obviously I didn't apply for it. So the GKS-G scholarship covers 3 years for a master's degree. So they're going to cover 1 year of your language school and then 2 years of a master's course. For a PhD, 4 years, 1 year language school, then 3 years for a PhD. Then a research program, they'll cover it for 6 months or for 1 year. So I have the application guidelines for last year, which was the year I applied, just here in front of me, and I'm going to be referring to it to like clear any misunderstandings there might be if you try to apply. I know GKS is going to open very soon, next month in February. Yeah, next month in fact. So I'm making this video to be like a kind of like a guide for your application this year or whenever you want to apply. Let's talk about the application tracks and the quotas for last year. In total, there was a quota of 1,378. But out of the 1,378, of course, there are like people from different countries. There are different quotas you can apply to. Okay, so talking about the application tracks. For the GKS scholarship, you can apply through the embassy track or the university track. I applied through the embassy track, so obviously I know a lot more about the embassy track. But I will also be talking about the university track. For the embassy track, there are like umbrellas. If you're applying for a master's degree, you can apply as a general applicant, an overseas Korean, a Korean language teaching professional. And then research. Research is not like master's degree, it's just like research. The one of 6 months or 1 year. And then for the university track, you can apply for like general, regional university, research and development, which is a new quota. Research and development wasn't a thing before 2022. And then there's research again. So analyzing the different umbrellas, for embassy track, obviously you apply to the embassy in your country. You don't apply to the universities first. For embassy track, if you're applying for a master's degree, you choose 3 schools and you fill that in on your application form, and then you send that application with all the documents you need to the embassy in your country. If you're from Nigeria, you send it to KCCN, not the Korean embassy. You send it to the Korean Cultural Center in Nigeria, and then they review your application and you do the interview, and if you pass, that's it, you pass, and then you have to pass a few more rounds. For the overseas Korean quota on the embassy track, that's just like what it is, you're Korean overseas. I don't understand it because I'm not Korean. I have no Korean ancestors, so I don't know about the overseas Korean quota. And then there's the quota for Korean language teaching professionals, which is for Korean language teaching professionals. Now, on the university track, this is where it gets confusing and you have to like focus. For university track, you can apply as a general applicant. That's just like you're just a normal person, like just a normal application. But what's special is you can apply on the regional university quota. Now, this quota is for people studying STEM and engineering, so like science, technology type courses, and applying to schools in regional areas, that is schools outside Seoul. If you're applying to a school in Seoul, even though you're STEM, you are a general applicant. You are not a regional applicant. And why I think this quota is very good is because, like, if you're STEM, how it works is if there's a quota of 10 for university track for your country, and let's say the quota is 5 regional and 5 just general, when they make like the ranking at NIED, if the first 5 are STEM, obviously they will take like the 5 regional quota. That means there's still like 5. But after that, if there's like more STEM in the next top 5, there's just going to be a lot of STEM. Warning, this scholarship gives a lot of do I say bias? No, not bias. They prefer STEM and engineering. But if you're like non-STEM, you can still get it. It's just that they prefer STEM and engineering. And then there's the new quota, R&D. It's like industry and university collaboration. It's like research. You get to study, but you also will be like involved in research things. But this is very specific to schools and specific courses. They have like a list of the quota. I will just link everything down below that you need to know. I think I'll make a Google Drive of just all the documents you need, so you can just check them out. But R&D, to be clear, is for STEM research, STEM and engineering. There's no humanities for R&D. Now for the list of universities you can apply to, there's a fixed like list that they release every year when they release the application guidelines. I will link that for last year down below just for reference. But sometimes like schools join, schools leave, schools add some courses, remove some courses. Like a school I wanted to apply to, all of a sudden the course just wasn't available this year. So obviously you have to send an email to the school asking them, oh, hi, I want to apply to your school for this course for GKS next month. Will it be available? Like, I would advise you to do that so you don't prepare for a course and then it just disappears. So for the universities, they are divided into 2. There are type A universities and type B universities. Type A universities, I believe, are mostly in Seoul, and type B universities. So when you apply through Embassy Track, and I applied through Embassy Track, you can choose up to 2 type A universities, but your third choice must be a type B university. You cannot choose all type A universities. Personal advice, I would advise that you choose your first choice. If there's a type A university you really like, you can choose that one type A university, and then like a strong type B university, and then just like a safety school. Definitely. But also, if you feel like your profile is strong, like your SNU material, I don't know what SNU material is, but if you feel like your profile is strong, you can definitely apply to 2 type A universities. I personally know people that got into 2 type A universities. I applied to 3 type B universities. I was very safe, but also the type A universities didn't have what I wanted, so I just didn't apply. For the university track, there are schools under general, and then there are the schools listed under regional. So you need to really check that. If your goal is to apply through the regional university quota, you need to check like the universities in the list. I will link the document down below, the universities in the list, and choose a school from those universities. Now let's talk about quotas by country. So obviously for GKS, there are like countries that can apply and countries that cannot apply. There are, I think, 136 countries that can apply. 136. And you have to like look through the list and see what your quota is. I know for my country, Embassy Track for graduate degrees, we had a quota of 6 last year. And you can just check that out. For my country, Nigeria, for undergraduate, our Embassy Track quota is 1. So obviously, like, the quota affects how much competition there is. Because, for example, undergraduate, when the quota is just 1 and you have so many people applying, the competition is crazy. Obviously, the quotas are different for Embassy Track and University Track. For example, Nigeria, we had a quota of 6 for Embassy Track. And then we had a total quota of 10 for University Track. But we had 5 regional and 5 general, so total quota of 10. Then in total, 16 people could be chosen. But don't like think, oh, they're going to choose 16 people, so no matter what, I'm going to get in or something. They reserve the right, if you have a quota of 16, to say we don't have up to 16 applicants up to our standards, so we're just going to take 10. Like, they don't have to fill the quota. The quota is just there to say, oh, this is the maximum number. They don't have to reach the maximum number. They can take away your quota, they can give it back. It just depends on if the applicants they have, they feel are good enough for them, I guess. Okay, now about eligibility. First of all, your nationality. You must be from a country, obviously, that participates in GKS. Like, your country must have a quota, first of all. And then also, you must not be a Korean citizen, because obviously it's a scholarship for people from other countries to study in Korea. It doesn't make sense if you're a citizen of Korea already. And then there's stuff about overseas Koreans, so I don't know enough about it, so I'm not just going to talk about it. If you're applying for a bachelor's degree, obviously you should have a high school certificate to apply for a bachelor's degree. If you're applying for a master's degree, you need your bachelor's degree certificate. Touching on this, in Nigeria, there's this thing called a higher national diploma, HND. If you have a HND, you can apply for GKS. I personally know somebody that applied for GKS with a HND. You can totally apply for GKS. It's an equivalent degree. I think you have to find schools that will accept HNDs, because not all schools will accept your HND. So you have to find schools, you email them and you tell them, I have this degree, it's an equivalent degree. It's not a bachelor's degree, it's not like a BSc, but it's equivalent to a BSc. Can I apply? And obviously there are schools that will take it. Even schools in Seoul, there are schools that would definitely take it. And for research program applicants, you must have received an invitation from one of the partner universities. And also you must hold a doctoral degree if you're going to do your postdoc, obviously. If you're doing a professor exchange program, you must hold a master's degree and currently be teaching at a university as a professor. And there's this thing called a program for education, science, culture, international cooperation for professionals, and you must hold a master's degree and be a professional in the field of education, science, culture, or international cooperation. I don't know what that means, but I'm just saying it so you're like aware. Okay, I got a lot of questions of people saying, oh, I haven't graduated yet, can I apply? Definitely you can apply. The first time I applied for GKS, I hadn't graduated yet. Obviously I was unsuccessful because, like, it's Nigeria, who knows when ASU will go on strike again. But anyway, if you haven't graduated, you can definitely apply with a certificate of expected graduation. So the dean, I think, or the registrar in Nigeria it's called the registrar of your school has to issue you a certificate of expected graduation saying when you graduate. It's preferable if he says the date, like the date she's going to graduate on the 5th of this year. As far as you graduate before the 31st of August in this year, for us it was 31st of August 2022. If you're applying this year, 31st of August 2023, it's fine. As far as you can receive your final graduation certificate by 31st August 2022, Kenchana. But if you know you're not going to receive your certificate, it just doesn't... If you know you're not going to be able to graduate by then and because, like, you might go to the end, like, you receive the scholarship and everything, and then you won't be able to go. I guess you can, if you don't receive your certificate though, you can defer for 6 months. I don't really know the process for deferring, but you can definitely defer your scholarship. But if you haven't graduated, it's still okay to apply. You collect a transcript that has, like, your grades so far up until the semester you're in, and you just submit that. And when you get the full transcript and the certificate, you can send that to NIED. For me, I used a supplementary certificate. That was, in Nigeria, it's called the Statement of Results. So it's not an official certificate. I just used a supplementary certificate and it was fine. When my original certificate was issued, I sent it to NIED. And also there's like a grade requirement. I think out of all the scholarships I've been interested in, GKS has the most reasonable grade requirement. If you're a Nigerian, your grades are probably out of 5.0, and the requirement is 3.23 which according to Nigerian standards is second class lower. Second class lower. Most scholarships I've seen like require you to be like 4 points. 4 point this one, 4.5, first class, like that. But this one, they just say if you have a 3.23 or like 80%, you're good to go. And if you don't have a transcript with one of the grade points required, which is 4.0, 4.3, 4.5, or 5.0, you can submit a certificate that says, oh, this person was within the top 20% of their class from, of course, if you're in Nigeria, your registrar. And that just like, you can just use that as proof, or a certificate from your school saying what percentile your grade fell in. So that's it. So for the age and health requirement, you must be under 40 years of age. So for last year, you must be born after September 1st, 1982. So I guess for this year, it will be September 1st, 1983. I think. I don't know. I haven't seen the guidelines. But if you're an academic professor, in one of the ODA recipients, there are 107 ODA recipients, you can be under 45. So that's September 1st, 1977. The ODA recipients, I think Nigeria is one of them. Nigeria. Right there, Nigeria is one of them. So under 45 for ODA professor people. And then for health, of course, you must be of good health. You must test positive on the drug tests, obviously. For the restrictions, if you studied at a Korean high school or Korean college, you studied in Korea, like officially studied, you cannot apply. But if you studied in Korea as an exchange student, you can apply. It's fine if you're just an exchange student. But if you studied, you cannot apply. Also, you cannot apply to more than one track. You have to choose. Are you applying to embassy track or university track? Because like you might have double applications, and if you have double applications, both of them are cancelled. If you're an embassy track applicant, because embassy track applications usually happen earlier than university track. So say you apply to embassy track and the result comes out on March like 25th, and you weren't successful. If you can get your documents from your country to your university fast enough, you can apply for university track. Because like your application, if you fail the embassy track stage, it means that application is cancelled. So you can just restart another one in the same year for embassy track. There are other requirements, restrictions, but you can check them out in the documents I will link down below. Okay, now let's go down to the application and everything. For embassy track, you have 3 rounds, and for university track, you have 2 rounds. For embassy track, you submit your application to the embassy. First of all, the embassy is going to review your documents. For Nigerian candidates, they're going to invite you, if you're successful at the document screening stage, for an interview. And then if you're successful after the interview, they're going to recommend you to NID, which is the body in charge of the scholarship. And then the second round is NID selection. NID is going to review the documents of all the scholars sent, and they're going to see, oh, does she have this? Does she have that? Is everything complete? Is everything on track? The good thing about embassy track is the embassy stage. Once you pass the embassy stage, the probability that you pass these two is relatively higher. NID round is mostly just document screening. And then the third stage is the university selection. So the universities you picked, one of them out of 3 has to pick you. Don't be too nervous about this round. If you do your research well and you pick universities that fit your profile, you will definitely get selected. People get selected by 2-3 universities. I was selected by 2 of the universities I selected. And then once one university picks you, you have to choose. So if 3 universities pick you, you have to choose 1. And if 2 universities pick you, you have to choose 1. If 1 university picks you, obviously you have no choice. That's you're going to that one. And then after this, you just wait for the final announcement, and you're going to Korea. For university track, you apply directly to the university. So you prepare your documents, you package it, and then you ship it to the university in Korea. And then the university in Korea is going to review it. If they want to do an interview, they do the interview. And then after the interview, they send your documents, if you're selected by the university, to NID. And then NID is going to review your application and think and say, oh, is this person good enough? They're going to rank you. For example, your country has a quota of 10, but there are like 50 applicants. So they're going to like say, oh, according to like the standards, according to, first of all, they're going to remove obviously people that have things missing from their documents. Oh, this person didn't submit their proof of citizenship. Okay, out. And then they're going to rank you, and then they're just going to pick to fill the quota. And if they can't fill the quota, they don't fill the quota. NID picks, but for university track, after NID picks, that's then just 2 rounds and then the final announcement. Okay, speaking more about eligibility, there are important things to know. There's like a point system. They give you more points depending on your Korean proficiency, I guess. And I know I saw somewhere that starting in 2024, starting in 2024, they give you extra points depending on your Korean proficiency and your English proficiency. So obviously, submitting Korean proficiency certificates and English proficiency certificates gives you points. For me, I submitted topic 2. I had topic 2 when I applied. And just generally having those certificates gives you like an edge, but it's not compulsory. But like if you want to, I advise that you do. But if you don't have the money to write the certificates, or like they don't write topic in your country, it's fine. Okay, now I'm going to speak on preparing your documents for the application. I've noticed this is what people have a lot of problems with, so I'm just going to go one by one. First of all, there's the application form. Obviously, you fill it in, correct information. You write your name the way it is written on your passport. Every document you are submitting, your name should be written the way it is on your passport. My name is Aderonke and I'm. So every document I submitted was my name in that exact form. For extra certificates, my name was not always listed Aderonke and I'm. Some of them were just Aderonke, but those were like extras. But for things like my certificate, my transcript, my passport, my birth certificate, in that exact order, you're not swapping names, you're not like mixing names up. No name is missing. That is your official name. That's your identity. So when you fill your application form, everywhere you're writing your name in that exact form. I filled my application form in capital letters, not for any reason. I was just paranoid. I was like, nobody's going to be making mistakes and thinking, oh, is this a D, is this an E? No. I filled it in capital letters. Also, wherever you are supposed to sign on the application form, sign. I printed my application form so many times, but every single time I printed it, I would like go through it and sign again. And before I submitted it, I made sure I reviewed it over and over again, like, hey, did I sign? Did I not sign? Be very careful. Wherever you're supposed to sign. Write your name, sign. Write the date, sign. Just make sure everything is properly filled in. No empty gaps. For the part of the application form where you fill in your grades, I know some schools, they don't put like your semester grade. For me too, it was like that. They didn't put the GPA I had at the end of every semester or at the end of every year. They just put like my grades, and then at the end my final CGPA, my cumulative GPA. So for that, it's totally fine. You can just put your cumulative GPA and leave that box for filling the individual GPAs. You can leave them empty, so you don't have to stress. Just as far as your transcript has your grades, your correct name, the name of your school, obviously, and your final GPA or percentile, it's fine. Now for the essays I would say are a very important part of your application. Obviously, I wrote my essays, I think, for 7 months. I wrote that essay. I wrote it and I was not certified, and I wrote it again and I wrote it again and I wrote it again. So the essays are divided into, there are 2 essays, to be clear. There's the personal statement, that's like you telling who you are, what are your motivations, like what makes you want to do this. Like tell them what you are as a person. And then there's your study plan. This one is more official. It's divided into three. There's the Korean study plan, there's the study plan, and future plan. So for me, when I wrote my essays, my personal statement, I wrote it like a story. Like I started it like, oh, when I was a child, I was interested in this happened to me, and that led me to develop an interest in biology, and that interest in biology made me develop an interest in microorganisms, blah blah blah, biotechnology. Like it just, I made it flow. I made a timeline. Like this is who I am. This is why I am who I am. These are the things that happened to make me who I am, and these are the things, like I obviously listed some certificates I got on Coursera, like, oh, because I was so interested in biotechnology and health, I took this course on cancer biotechnology on Coursera to improve my knowledge. Like you want to talk like that, be very natural, like make it flow. If you guys want, later I might make a video about reading my essays and just like giving you tips on how to write your essay. For the study plan, it's divided into three, like I said. The language study plan, for me, the structure I would advise for your study plan is, you would say the goal, how you want to achieve it, and the timeline within which you want to achieve it. Mine, I drew a table for my language study plan. Yeah, I drew a table for my language study plan. So it was like, what's my goal? I want topic 6 at the end of language year. How am I going to achieve it? I'm going to study 3 hours a day. I'm going to attend all my classes. I'm going to listen to podcasts in Korean. Korean dramas is also a good way to study Korean music. There's this habit I have. I used to write out Korean lyrics, and then I used to translate Korean lyrics to English on Music Match. So I also wrote that down, like, oh, I'm going to do this. I already do this, and I'm going to continue doing it. It's the language study plan is divided into what you do before you go. For me, what I was doing before I went was I attended classes at King Sejong Institute in Nigeria, and then what you do while you're here. And then I also talked about what I'll do after the language year. I was like, oh, I'm going to keep using Korean. I'm going to make Korean friends. Obviously, I'm going to do some of my assignments in Korean because my course is in 50% English, 50% Korean. And just generally talking about, oh, I'm going to keep using Korean. For the main study plan, I just talked like about, I put like a very short summary of what I already said in my personal statement. Like, oh, these are my motivations. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in microbiology, and I have experience in this research, doing that research, and that is why I want to. And then you just start to talk about like your professional goals. Why did you choose these schools? Why Korea? Like, why are you coming to study this course in Korea? What is it about Korea? And generally what I want to do while I'm at school. So I talked about courses I wanted to take because I applied to embassy track. I didn't want to talk about any school specifically. So I listed out the courses at the 3 schools. Then I found courses that all 3 of them have. Like, oh, all of you have advanced molecular biology. So I picked advanced molecular biology, and I was like, oh, I want to take this course. And advanced environmental biology, take this course. Like that. Like, just pick, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then for me, because I'm a STEM applicant, but I've also heard you don't have to. I talked about the research I wanted to do. I was like, oh, the research I want to do, I said the topic, and I said the relevance of the research for me as a researcher, for my country, Nigeria, and for Korea. So I said, oh, I'm going to do this research, and it's very important for Korea because of this and this problem, and for Nigeria because of this and this problem, and I think it's relevant for like worldwide, and it's important, and blah blah blah, and I want to do it in Korea because of this and this and that, like that. Then for your future plans, most people say you should say you want to stay in Korea, but it's not compulsory. Just say what you want to do in the future. If you don't know what you want to do in the future, just write something. Like, what did I say I wanted to do? You just saw. I can't remember. Just say what you want to do in the future. Just write it out. It doesn't have to be anything too impressive. It's your future. but like it should be something that getting the GK scholarship can help you with. And I divided mine into short-term goals and long-term goals. So like after the scholarship, I remember what my short-term goal was. After the scholarship, I said I wanted to go to do my PhD, which is still my goal right now. So you can just say, after the scholarship, I'm going to do a PhD, or I'm going to Trichik, Trichik in English. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get a job, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to go back to my country. I said I wanted to stay and get a PhD. And then I said my long-term goal was to go back to my country and become a professor. So that's it. Also, my long-term goal was linked to joining Nigeria and Korea, obviously, because if I'm going back to my country to teach, I said I was going to obviously facilitate research collaborations between Korea and Nigeria. And I talked about the biotechnological research agency in Korea. I was very interested in their work, honestly. And then about like facilitating collaborations between that agency and our National Biotechnological Agency in Nigeria, which is located very close to the university I graduated from. So I was saying, I'm going to go back to my university, I'm going to teach, and obviously I'm going to do research collaborations with researchers at the National Biotechnological Agency. And with my experience from studying in Korea and obviously working in Korea, because I said I wanted to do my postdoctoral research at that Korean Biotechnological Agency, I was going to foster research collaborations between the two countries, and Nigeria was going to be shipping biotech research machines and like molecular biology things from Korea. So I was saying, it wasn't just going to be a research collaboration, it was going to be economic. So that was what I said. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to say, but that was what I said.